Cindy Bowling, can you hear me? Scream into it. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Those of you who don't know, I'm Josh Gentry, the new chairman of the board. Thank you. We'll get started with the secretary's report from the last general membership meeting.
Is that me that does that?
That's you, sir. Yes, sir.
I just lost my position a little while ago.
Not a year ago.
Okay. It should be in our packet somewhere. Here it is. Let me get my microphone here.
Like that chicken.
Like what?
Chicken.
Millennium Rooster.
Okay, good to see you. So the minutes from last year, we met here in this room, January 12, 2024 at 2 o'clock. I wasn't here, I was at home with a knee replacement, but I was watching on Zoom. And I took the minutes. We had 14 of our board present. We had 53 people total. That was 4 on Zoom and 49 here in the room. We reviewed and approved the minutes from the 2023 meeting. Bill Norwood made a motion and Carl Payne seconded, and that passed. And we had the treasurer's report. Kevin Ruger presented the balance sheet, profits and loss statements. And then Elizabeth Frisch was introduced as the treasurer for 2024. Bill Norwood made a motion, Bubba Boyer seconded, that we accept the treasurer's report, and that motion passed. We had comments from our chairman. Johnny Hicks stated that he had a ton of goals for TOBAA when he first started as chairman of the board. And then he started fast, but didn't realize things don't always happen quickly. He had 2 goals that he highlighted for 2023 for the updated TOBT advisory committee and the renewed emphasis on committee work. And he stated his goals for 2024 were to find a CEO to lead TOBAA and to implement a major marketing campaign. Then we had committee reports. Amanda Danley reported for the miniature committee. She reported there were some openings on the committee and that their objectives were to promote miniature Texas Longhorns, include more miniature breeders each year, and conduct more shows. We had a World Show Committee report. I failed to put who gave that report. I don't know if it was Amanda or me. But the World Show Committee meets on Tuesday evenings throughout the year, with meetings being almost weekly from January through May. The committee currently had an opening. The positive highlight was $160,000 was raised for the graduating seniors that participated in the senior heifer sale at the World Expo. And then the Horn Showcase Committee, Josh Gentry represented that committee. He reported that the 2023 event was moved to El Reno, Oklahoma. Typo there. There was 1,002 measurements on 504 animals, 277 at the event, 227 satellites. And the event had a profit of a little over $74,000. And they also had an opening on their committee. You see a theme here? A lot of committees have open people you might want to volunteer. That was free. Beef Committee, Andrew Shiguri is the committee chairman. He was not in attendance due to illness. Bill Norwood represented that committee. The committee had some goals. That was to improve the TOBA website, improve communications with the marketing committee, host quarterly webinars, and increase awareness of the webinars, and educate members on the how-to of the beef business. Marketing committee, Johnny Hicks spoke on behalf of that committee. He mentioned that there's some commercials that aired on RFD-TV throughout 2023. There were no analytics available to determine the effectiveness of these ads. The committee needs a way to measure the results. We had a Hall of Fame committee report also from Johnny Hicks. He said the TOBAA had taken over the Hall of Fame program from the Texas Longhorn Foundation. The committee is working well. They developed criteria for eligibility into the Hall. Breed Standard Committee, Julie Pack represented the Breed Standard Committee. She said they had a rocky start, partly due to turnover in committee membership. The committee had a couple of new members, Scott Simmons, Mike Reinhardt. The committee is trying to complete the standards by June the 24th. Affiliate Relations Committee, Deb Lessick has replaced Tina Dubose as the chairman. The committee is promoting the Colorful Cat photo contest. They have a new initiative called Boots on the Ground for affiliates to recognize members who go above and beyond, get things done at the local level. Each affiliate has been given a buckle to be awarded to a member of their choice. At that time, Australia and Canada affiliates have already awarded their buckles. The committee was concerned about the lack of interest, as indicated by the few number of votes submitted in the year-end TLBAA awards. And then Allison Lowry, who was the current TLBT president at the time, provided an update of the youth activities. They had a successful leadership camp. They implemented a service project where they provided stuffed animals to the Fort Worth Police Department for kids involved in police situations. They were also raising funds to purchase prizes and awards for the Texas Longhorn Junior National Show. And they will have some fundraiser items at tomorrow's sale. Last year. Election results. Johnny Hicks announced that the executive committee was going to be Chairman Johnny, Vice Chairman Keith Hagler, Treasurer Elizabeth Fritz, Secretary Stephen Head, Parliamentarian was going to be Tom Ryder. Results of the Division C elections, Region 13-14, Justin Georges will return. Region 15, Walker Hance became the director. Region 16, Chris Johnson will return as director. And Region 17-18, Dave Berry became the director. New business, Johnny stated he'd like to hire a CEO. Johnny, Keith Hagler, and Elizabeth Fritz are currently working on this issue. They have been looking at what it would cost to hire a CEO, and Johnny wanted a stronger marketing push. And then we had a big conversation. I don't think I need to read it all. DOD term limit proposal. Justin Rombach had a proposal to limit terms of directors. And we had discussions back and forth. You can see if you have this minutes, Cindy Boland commented, Justin commented, Deb Lessick put her opinion in, Scotty O'Brien, Melissa Bierschink, Carla, I commented. Then Scotty made a motion, Melissa seconded, and we split the proposal and vote on each numbered item that was in that proposal. That passed. So then Melissa made a motion and seconded by Karen Allen that we vote on the first item, which was to limit service of the board to 9 years. There were 19 votes for the motion and 35 votes against the motion, so the motion failed. And Jackson Grace made a motion, seconded by Brittany Gentry, to table the remaining items on the proposal. That motion passed, so the proposal was tabled. David Wards had resigned as Region 7 Director. An email was sent out to all the members in that region to see who was interested. And then Bubba Boyer commented about affiliates in their areas, a recent affiliate map that had been distributed. Bubba would like for an affiliate to be able to host an event in another affiliate's area as long as the two affiliates agree. Bubba also questioned why an open show is required at an event in order to hold a youth or miniature show. And then at 3:53, Josh Gentry made a motion, I don't know who seconded, and to adjourn the meeting, and the meeting was adjourned.
Thanks, Stephen. Get somebody from the crowd to give us a motion to approve those minutes. Brown. Can I get a second? Terry Adcock, second. Those minutes are approved.
Who made the motion? Amanda didn't need to hear that.
Brian Allen made the motion.
Okay, just so.
And, gotcha. And then we'll roll into the treasurer's report with Elizabeth Fritz.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth. And put together a presentation for you guys this year so that we can give you an understanding of what we worked on this year. where we are and where we're going. So the first one, and you'll have a copy of this so you don't have to squint at the screen. It says profit and loss, July 2023 through June 2024. And you'll see that all of the documents that you got are all marked draft and unaudited. And so the reason for that is over the last couple of years with TLBAA, we've had some changes in our accounting systems as well as accounting personnel. And so we are now doing the work to go back and make sure everything is reported accurately and fairly stated. And so until we're ready to have the financial statement audits done and we're finished with our review of the prior years, everything will remain in draft form. So these numbers for July through June of 24, which is our last fiscal year, our year runs from July the 1st to June 30th of every year. And so where does the TLBA get the funds from? And there's 4 main areas that we get income from. The first is membership income, so that's going to be annual dues and people who purchase a lifetime membership. The second area is registration department, so anytime you register a calf or transfer an animal, that comes into that amount of income. Trails incomes for the magazine, and then sales and events is going to include the Horn Showcase, the World Show, and any wood, and any other smaller event. We have a small amount of other income, that's passive income from an oil well that the TLBAA owns. And then if you skip down a little bit, you'll see the expenses, and they're broken out kind of in the same type of categories. What relates to membership, what relates to registration, trails. You'll see that the biggest area is sales and events income. Last year we had a good income from the Horn Showcase. And so if you follow down to that net income number, we should net income of around $30,000. Without the profit that Horn Showcase made last year, around $65,000, we would not have been in an income position. We would have actually been in a loss position. So that'll be kind of important as we get through this conversation. The next one is our balance sheet at the end of last year. So a couple of things to point out on here. You'll see that we have a nice cash balance. That's all tied out and verified with the bank. We have about $1 million in cash currently. You'll also see some accounts receivable. Those are, if you run an ad in trails, if you're registering a cow, our accounting department bills you, and it stays in receivables until we get those funds. We also have, if you skip down to under liabilities and equity, you'll see that we have something called unearned revenue, and that is cash that we've gotten in the door, but the event hasn't occurred. Like, if you donate for Horn Showcase hasn't occurred, we can't take it into our income yet. It stays on the balance sheet until that goes through. So those are the biggest items that I would point out. And that was all for last year. And so then the next question is, where are we right now? So for July the 1st through December 31st of 2024, you can see right now that we are showing a net loss year to date of $44,000. And if you want to know why that is, the biggest factor is for this year so far, we didn't bring in a huge profit on Horn Showcase, for example. That was about a break even, and so we're in a net loss position year to date. And then if we flip to the balance sheet, year to date, we have similar balances. You'll see the cash, accounts receivable, and unearned revenue there too. So taking that information into account, where do we go from here and what's our plan? And I think that's the most important part. The last several years, we have not had a budget put in place. We've been working on updating our systems and procedures. And so what we're working on now is making sure we're forecasting the right way. We'll know what's going to come in from dues, what will come in from registrations, and budgeting, not just as an organization, but on an event basis. And then we want to make sure that we can provide some meaningful feedback, not just to the membership, but internally, so that if we have our sales and events folks and our trails folks, that we can actually tell them, here's where you are now, here's where we forecast you're going to be, and how do we change that. The other really important thing we need to do is to have our audit of the financial statements done. It's required in the bylaws. We haven't done it in a few years because we've been going through these systems changes and personnel changes. But our goal is to finish going backward through things by the end of the spring and get the accountants engaged to come in and start our audit. And an audit isn't that you think anything is wrong. It's something that they come in and they review what policies you have in place and that you're following all of the right accounting rules. And that if we provide financials to a third party, they have confidence. They go, oh, well, these were reviewed by someone else and they're very accurate. So the other thing we need to plan for is we're talking about adding a CEO. We actually already have the office space for the CEO, but you can see last year we had a net income of $30,000. That's not enough to hire a chief executive officer. And so we need to plan for how are we going to afford to pay a CEO, what are the things we're going to put in place to do that, and then we also need to plan for the expenses that we know will increase annually. One of those is payroll. Payroll is our biggest expense. We don't make widgets, we provide services. And so we need to make sure we're accounting for that correctly. And then the other expenses that increase annually. Rent goes up a little bit, software expenses go up a little bit, to print, to mail, all of those things we want to make sure we plan for. And the other thing we want to make sure we're looking at is cash management. I mentioned before, we have a really nice balance in the bank. How much of that, if you look at a nonprofit organization, what is your target cash reserve? Should that be between 6 and 12 months of annual expenditures? Yes, most likely. How much do we want to keep in the bank? Where our ins and outs kind of vary? I would tell you when we renew our dues memberships, we get tons of cash all of the time. That has to last through the year. So if we want to use that cash for a membership drive or an advertising campaign or something like that, we want to do it purposefully. We don't want to not budget. So it's cool, we have cash in the bank, and watch that balance come down over time without a plan. So here are some of the things that the board is working on as we think through how are we going to make sure that that income number will support our future goals. And the first thing I will tell you is membership is what drives us. If our membership income or our membership numbers don't stay steady or increase, then that revenue amount that we get for renewals will drop. And then they're not registering cattle, they're not participating in events, and it kind of has a snowball effect. So this year, we sent out 2 rounds of paper renewals. So we sent everybody a notice, say, hey, it's time to renew. We got some renewed. At the second round, we still had about 1,200 people sent those back out. We still have, and then this is remaining active non-renewals. That means somebody who was a member last year and has not renewed their membership. There are about 630 of those guys. Times our dues rate, that's a lot of money. That's $85,000. So what are we going to do about it? We need to start calling people. We can get help from the office with that. We can get help from our directors with that. But it's also something that we need to plan for. Increasing our membership numbers will drive up that revenue. So the other thing that we looked at was, what are our dues? So TLBAA dues are $100 annually. That has been the same number since 2002. So even though what things cost has changed dramatically since 2002, our income number for dues has stayed the same. So at some point, even if we were making profit years before, that gap was going to close. Your expenses are coming up, but your income is staying the same. So we wanted to know, all right, what would be a good dues number? What are other, what can we benchmark against? And we decided to look at other cattle breeds. What do they charge for dues each year? And so we compared to the other registered breeds. TLBAA charges one of the lowest dues for registered breeds. And we don't charge additional dues. Some of these other organizations charge things for, if you have a breeding age animal, you have to re-register that animal every year. We don't do that. We're $100. And so one of the things that we'll be looking at, the board's going to look at it during this first quarter, is whether or not we need to increase that dues number. It's not the only thing we're looking at, but that's one of the things. And what would that mean to us if we did change the dues number? So if we just went on how many renewals we sent, people who have renewed, you can kind of see across the board, for every $25, and I'm not looking at 200 as my goal, these are just for comparative purposes. it makes a huge difference in how much we bring in for dues revenue. So we'll be looking at this spring whether or not we want to raise the dues for this coming year. Before I go on, does anybody have a question about the dues? What we've been charging? The next thing we looked at was our registration and transfer fees. And there's a lot of lines going on right there. We are the little solid light blue line at the bottom. We looked at the other cattle breeds for what they charge for registration, and we were again at one of the lowest for what we charge for animal registration. The board did vote to increase registration and transfer fees by $5 a piece, and that will be effective April 1st. So if you have something you want to get registered or transferred before that goes into effect, do it before April the 1st. So we were charging $15 for an animal up to 14 months, that will change to $20. And then we were charging $25 and that will change to $30. So the other thing that we noted was that we had a very long runway on these older animals, between 15 and I think 36 months. We were still paying $25 before it jumped up, and we changed that 36-month line down to 24. So we felt like animals can get registered before they're 24 months old. So, and you can see on this next one what that will mean to the bottom line. Our average annual registrations are about 8,000 times $5, that's $40,000. And transfers are about 9,500, so you multiply that by $5 and you get 47,000. So you're talking about increasing almost $90,000 of revenue over a year. The next one we've been looking at is what we charge for the Trails magazine. And again, we looked at the other cattle breeds. We are one of the most competitive and lowest price, and we will provide more for that than the other breeds. Right now, if you purchase an ad in the Trails, Myra and Taylor will design that ad for you without any additional cost. The other cattle breed magazines do not do that. Most of them expect a completely finished ad. If you need help with it, they charge by the hour, somewhere between $55 and $60. And if you hired hand to do your ad, I think it's somewhere around $125. So that's an extra benefit our members are getting. Advertising and Trails right now that we're not charging for. Am I saying 100% we need to charge that? No, but it's one of the things that we can consider doing. And this is just kind of a bar chart to make it a little bit easier to see that we're kind of on the lower end of what the other magazines are charging. So as we look forward and we're going through this budgeting, we're also want to make sure that you all know that we're considering what the expenses are too, and if there's ways to increase the efficiency of those. One of the things we're going to do is try to move things more electronically. We want to invoice electronically so things can get paid better. We want to be able to renew memberships online so that we're not paying for those rounds of mail outs. 75 cents for one letter, you mail out 5,000 of them, that adds up really quickly. So we're trying to increase our efficiency there. And the things that y'all don't see behind the scenes that they're doing, like Myra is always looking for ways to save money on the Trails. She's been reviewing what printer we use. Can we find a printer that charges us less? She looks at our online hosting. If they go up, is there someone that will do a better deal for us on that? At World Show this year, they've actually moved because what they were charging there for a lot of things has increased, that it was not sustainable anymore. So we are looking for ways not just to bring money in, but to be more efficient with what we're spending as well. So we'll be working on that this year. The biggest thing that we have done this year is that we hired Ryan Beanstra, sitting over here. He joined us at the end of September and is doing an amazing job going back through things, getting everything stated the right way, and he's also been working with the other folks in the office to make sure he has a great understanding of what each of them is doing, what the goals for each show, what the Trails and all of those things are doing. And so that planning process is going much better now. So if you have a question about what you get billed, what's going to happen, Ryan's always in the office and can answer questions. What questions can I answer for y'all now about the finances? think that's, yes, that is one of the things we would.
Much more efficient than, mailing something and then mailing a check, snail mail.
Yes, and if you think about like what you have now that is a subscription, most of the things that you sign up for now, they're like, oh, by the way, we're going to renew this every year on whatever date, and then it automatically charges your card. So yes, that is absolutely one of the things we're looking at, so that if you can renew online, maybe you can check the box, or it's an automatic thing, so that you're automatically renewed for next year, you don't lose access to horns, your trails keeps coming, and you're ready to do what you need to do with your cattle.
So much the dues and how much it is and about raising it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the backgrounds that I was familiar with is a monthly service.
Mm-hmm.
And if you did your monthly service at $9.99 a month, nobody pays attention to $9.99 a month. You have to be active on there. It's just going to charge their card no file. They'll get $120 on it, so y'all are going to make an extra $60,000 a year, and it just keeps it $9.99 a month. Because I know, like, you send me a bill,
Mm-hmm.
you're never going to get paid. Like, unless you call me or you're charging my credit card, like
Yeah.
for me to go write a check and mail it to you and do all that,
Yeah.
I'm gonna forget it. And that's just how a lot of people are nowadays, because everything's on an auto payment, bill, everything's just renewal. But they look at doing just a monthly service.
That's something to think about. The auto renewal is great, and the other thing it would save us is some efficiency in the office, because right now, either someone sends a check in, or we get a lot of calls. We'll charge my card on file, and we go and charge the card. If it automatically happens, then we don't have to use that time in the office to keep doing that. Yeah. Ryan is all.
Sorry, yes, just so anyone tuning in can catch in. So the question is, what if we went to some sort of monthly auto subscription? While yes, a lot of people are going that route because it does tend to make more money that way, that would provide a little bit of difficulty with how our current system is set up, because again, we track for each and every one of you. If you've paid your dues, you paid registration, transfers, all that sort of stuff. And so essentially what that would mean is if we switch to a monthly, that means 3,500 times a month we're going through and making sure, okay, is this person actually paying? Are they current? And then, that could just stack up to where we're going, hey, you're 5 months behind, that sort of thing. So while it sounds good at the time, and you have a little bit more consistent cash flow as well, unfortunately, just on the back end, that ends up, I think, causing more headaches than it would solve than just charging an extra $20 a year, I guess, just right out the gate. So, I mean, it's.
Well, I mean, you set up on like QuickBooks or anything, it kicks it back automatically. Say John Doe didn't pay this month, so you're not having to go check 3,500. All you're doing is check in if somebody's card was declined or wasn't a valid party.
Which happens more often.
Well, yeah, I mean, I do it also, but I mean, you get a list and it kicks it back.
Sure, but then that means follow up, right? So if it's not, because that is something.
We're working on we're not billing yet through QuickBooks. Automatic billing is one of the things that we're working on. We are bringing the dinosaur era from a technology perspective, and we're dragging it forward. Monthly billing might be something we can look at in the future, but right now I think it would snow us under with trying to, as we get to online billing, it'll one bite at a time.
The 600 members that you say have
Mhm.
not renewed,
Yeah.
are they, rather than taking the time, that's very labor
It is.
intensive. You talk about more.
They are locked out of corn, they're not receiving the trails anymore, so, that's how we end up with a lot of our late renewals, is someone's like, hey, I can't get my cattle registered, my horns isn't working, it's like, well, you didn't renew, and most of the time, they didn't even realize they hadn't renewed. it's a, I haven't had to do anything yet for a while, and it, I got something in the mail, but we all get stacks of mail, and,
Well, back to Austin, the point of, we really need to dig into our.
yes.
I mean, quick thing on that, you're gonna make $50,000 extra first year.
Mhm.
Even buying the software and everything, you're gonna get an ROI instant. I mean, there's a reason why Planet Fitness, Crunch, every single person out there does a $9.99 deal on there. Just buying the software, you're talking 10 grand, 15 grand maybe. I mean, you're gonna instantly make your money back within your first 2 months.
For the automobile stuff, we're looking at all of it right now. We don't have an online billing in place at all. So as we, I can't say, that's 100% gonna work for us. It's something we can certainly look at. But right now, we spend a significant amount of time chasing down, we have this profile, oops, it expired. Mine expired this month, and Ryan had to send me an email. So as we get better at it, we can certainly say, hey, would this work better for us, or would it not?
Yeah, and one thing, like, you'll find when you do those systems, it'll send those emails automatically for you, like, hey, card's expired, card expired.
This is one that, and so that we don't have to send that chasing email of, hey, you didn't pay this invoice, it can automatically get generated. And that will, there's so many things that we're doing right now that are what we did in 1992, that as we get those in place, we're getting, like, all right, we're gonna finish this, we're gonna implement that, and one thing at a time, can we keep making it to where it's running, as seamlessly as we can. And that Ryan's not having to send out and be like, hey, you didn't see this, and I need you to call, so. You had a question?
There are actually, sorry, Josh, I lost that. There are actually very low-cost AI programs that will literally handle all of this. They will, once you put the person's information in, you're gonna put their email and their telephone number. It will auto-call them and tell them, it'll just be like a very nice, AI voice or whatever that says, hey, this is the LPA. We tried to charge your credit card this month for $9.99. However, your card on file was declined for, and you could just put something very nice. And if your card may be expired, so we're sorry, but if you could contact us and/or send you a link to your email. I mean, it's like, we're literally in 2025. I don't even write emails anymore. AI writes my emails for me. And I'm a very small business. TLBA is much bigger.
Yeah, no, we are behind the curve, technology-wise, and we absolutely need to catch up. We need to so we have multiple systems, we have a Longhorn system, we have QuickBooks. What we wanna make sure we're very thoughtful about is when we start doing that electronically, that it will cover all the things, so that you don't get something that's like, click this link if you wanna pay a registration fee. Click this link if you wanna do a warrants transaction. We want it to be, where it's, whatever you're getting is consistent across the board, because we have people that are very, very tech savvy, and we have people that, are not very tech savvy. And so we want to make sure that we very purposefully put into place a system that will make it easy for you to pay, easy for them to manage at the office, and that we're not dinosaurs anymore.
I can't imagine it would be very expensive to get a good, legitimate programming company
Mhm.
to write a brand new program. That would
Yeah,
be
or an app.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, if people could do stuff out in the field on an app to register a cow, how awesome would that be?
I pay most of my bills and bills and I. So, right now, like if Ryan generates an invoice and he sends it to me, if I haven't said charge my card on file, but I'm looking at my email and it's 11:30 p.m., I can't call the office and pay it right then. But if we get the electronic payment thing, I think we will get a lot more initial payment and people able to manage things when they're not having to call the office. I've spent a lot of time in the office this year, and one of the things I had never realized was just how much time everybody that's in the office spends on the phone helping folks with stuff. And they really are ambassadors for the breed, because if you have a question, the first thing you do is dial the office, and they'll answer not just the question that is specific to them, but they'll try to get you the answer on something else too. So the easier we can make it for everybody, and the easier that we can get it for the office, I think the better we'll be from and real electronic, and be able to see things real time. And it'll make reporting easier. We want to be able to report it internally and then to you guys, so that when we're having our monthly board calls, we have updated information, to provide to them, and that you guys can have more updated information and more quickly. So yes, I agree. I'm like, this is not a brand new, like this is a road that many organizations have gone down, and so we don't need to, reinvent the wheel. We just need to.
And, it's having a younger person now be the head of our board of directors, not that they're, spring chickens. But, maybe that will help. I realize that you did, but I realize Boston is probably not gonna register his cows on the tab. But younger people coming into the room probably will.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You're standing out there with your bird and you're updating stuff, and you're like, oh, this is so funny, and click the button and register. So, yes, dragging everybody into the 21st century. All right, what other questions can I answer for y'all?
I have a question about a different treasurer's report. On February 8th, the minutes say that you stated that the TLBA has been a victim of tax fraud. Can you explain that?
I said what?
That the TLBA has been a victim of tax fraud? Is that
So,
true?
we were not victim. If that's misstated, I apologize. So we.
With minutes read.
Okay. So we had, I think it was the end of the fall of 2023, we actually had a check that had been already cashed, and then someone got a copy of it and did what's called whitewashing. If you're not familiar with that, they get a copy of the check and they are actually able to erase what's written on that check. And they fill in, somebody else's identity, and then they were able to cash that. And so, yes, that did happen to the TLBAA, and it was a pain for us to deal with, but it has been dealt with.
And you got your money back, right?
Yes, we did.
So there was no tax fraud?
No, we have not had any tax fraud. Any other questions? Okay, so if you ever have a question and you're not sure, please call me. I'm in the issue. You can always go to the board of directors area, and it has the phone numbers. If you have another, Brian can answer questions, and he can always direct you to me if it's something, or call the, they all know how to get a hold of me at the office. If you're not sure about something or you have a question about it, please call me. I'm happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. We'll jump right into the reports from the committees, starting with the World Show, by Kevin Ricker. Oh, I'm sorry, Stephen Head, not Kevin Ricker.
All right, thank you. I'm scrolling through my phone here because Amanda Danley is participating via Zoom. She's the chairman of the World Show Committee, but she asked me, I've been the liaison from the board to the committee, so she asked me if I would present the report in her absence. I'm shaking, I'm not that old. This year marks a significant milestone for our association as we successfully held the inaugural Texas Longhorn Junior Nationals at the TLBAA World Expo. This event was a resounding success with enthusiastic participation and positive feedback from members and families across the country. We are enthusiastic about the progress and growth of the Texas Longhorn industry and are always looking for ways to increase participation in the show circuit. Looking ahead, the TLBAA World Expo and Texas Longhorn Junior Nationals will be moving to a new location for 2025. The event will take place in Abilene, Texas at the Taylor County Expo Center, June 18th through the 22nd. The selection of Abilene reflects our commitment to providing an optimal experience for our exhibitors and attendees. The Taylor County Expo Center's facilities will accommodate our needs and provide a welcoming environment for all participants. We remain committed to fostering the growth of the Texas Longhorn industry and supporting the development of our exhibitors. Any questions about the World Show? Yes, Karen?
Will they have unaltered maturity this year?
I don't believe futurity is on the schedule for this year. If I'm wrong on that, Amanda will text me here and tell me.
Okay.
But I don't think the futurity is part of the schedule this year. Chris is on the committee, and Chris says no, and Amanda just texted and said no. Any other questions about the World Show? We'll see you in Abilene in June.
Thank you, Steve. Horn Showcase, guess you're gonna hear that from me. So, the 2024 Horn Showcase is in El Reno, Oklahoma. At $122,000 in sponsorship dollars raised from over 40 different sponsors. 431 total measured animals, 253 on site in El Reno. 22 satellites in 17 states. We had a breeders roundtable, some of the most iconic names in the breed: Jimmy Jones, Terry King, Bob Loomis, Dale Hunt, and Mike Billinger. Bull Alley had 22 bulls that sold over $83,000 in semen. Had a futurity with 167 animals entered, paid out over $20,000 in prize money. We sold $339,000 over 50 lots for an average of $6,788. Two high sellers at $24,000 apiece. The association made a commission of $23,900. We had a bunch of additional items this year. We carried the back cover of the Trails magazine. We had the face of the Horn Showcase, the face of Bull Alley. These additional items brought in almost $40,000 for us this year, and we were showing a profit of about $30,000 for 2024. Is there anybody here from the beef committee? No beef committee report. Kevin Rooker is going to give us a report from the minis.
I am giving this on behalf of Rebecca, the chairman of the miniature committee, who couldn't be here. So I just got asked to do this not long ago. So I don't know that I can help with questions, but could probably direct you to some that could. The TLBA Miniature Committee Report for 2025. The miniature Longhorn has shown growth again in 2024, from production to ownership and in the show ring. The presence of the miniature Longhorn is beginning to equal or even surpass the number of standard entries at some shows. A few of our goals for 2025 are to increase the marketing of the miniature Longhorn and expand their numbers even further. Also, to get youth miniature shows to be more widely accepted. We currently have one open position in Division A, but e-blasts have been sent out looking for someone to fill that position for a while. If we cannot find someone soon, we will then be implementing the newly passed committee division replacement proposal. Questions? Thank you.
Okay, when I get your microphone on, you want to do your...
Yep, I'll do the affiliate committee chairman's report. This is on behalf of Deb Gillespie, who couldn't be with us today, but it reads as follows. Greetings to all. The committee did not meet formally this year. Deb's husband passed away at the end of January, and the world got very cloudy for her at that point. So she apologizes to the committee members and affiliates for not showing the leadership that they expected. The goals for 2024 were to finalize the Boots on the Ground project and to prepare a report for the board. But despite memos being sent, we never heard from all of the affiliates, so that project remains unfinished. Another memo was sent to ensure that we had current contacts and addresses for all affiliates for the TLBAA website, but once again, little response. It has also been entertained to do a year-end booklet to have available at the annual meetings to showcase what the affiliates do, but only one affiliate responded. So with the help of Myra and Rick in the office, they were able to offer the year-end awards this year. 158 members submitted ballots. While that may sound high, that's approximately 4% of our active membership. The Roger Damrow Colorful Calf Contest was also offered again, and thank you to Myra in the office and Bonnie Damrow for selecting the winners. There were 65 entries from 42 separate breeders. So at this point, Deb says she's unsure what it takes to excite and motivate the membership regarding other activities that they and their affiliates could be involved with throughout the year. Hopefully the meeting will bring forth some new thoughts and ideas. I will say we did have an affiliate president's meeting this morning, and there were some really good ideas and conversation that came out of that to tackle some of these issues. So they'll be more active moving into 2025. So any questions for the affiliate relations? Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. TLBT, ready for your order?
It's great to see everyone today. I'm super excited to be here. I would like to formally introduce myself and name our 2024-2025 Texas Longhorn Breeders to Tomorrow Board and Directors. My name is Sharon Van Larkham, and I've had the pleasure of being your TOBT President this year. Our Vice President is Hadley Anderson. Our Secretary is Abby Mason. Our Treasurer is Jalen Krimmel. Our Reporter is Braylon Miller. Our Parliamentarian is Avery Matthey, and our Junior Directors are Brent Hickman and Nicholas Matthey. Our Intermediate Directors are Amelia Hawkins and Tegan Matthey. Our Team Directors are Anthony Quinn and Bonnie Wellborn, and our Senior Directors are Savannah Duncan and Justin Sadia. This year, we have developed committees to more effectively execute our key areas of focus. Our committee chairs are Jalen Krimmel with the policies, procedures, and prizes, Hadley Anderson with our fundraising, and Braylon Miller with communications. I would like to briefly introduce you all to our service project that we have chosen this year, which I know is near and dear to many of you, the Fort Worth Herd. In July of 2024, during our Officer and Director Camp, we declared that we would donate our time and volunteer with the Fort Worth Herd. That summer, we helped paint fences, gates, storage for equipment, clean pens and stalls, and more. The Fort Worth Herd represents the Texas Longhorn breed to the world, and we are excited to have the opportunity to go to work for this organization. The fundraising committee will share our exciting opportunity to be included in this year's Eddie Wood Cowtown Classic sale. We will have Hadley, our Vice President, with the fundraising committee.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hadley Anderson, this year's Vice President. This year, we are really working towards fundraising as part of our goal to make our Junior National show the best it can be. As of January 1st of 2025, our account balance is $14,856.18. And we have been fundraising and attending sales multiple times this year. This past year, TLBT youth attended sales such as Legends, Longhorn Sale, and Futurity, and Horn Showcase. For Horn Showcase, we were graciously donated one lot for a registered German Shepherd puppy and one lot for 5 semen straws of bull power wagon. We are extremely grateful for everyone who supported us while we were able to better share with what we all are about. And we did well at those shows and raised a fair amount of money. Every show this season so far, we've been selling merchandise or had events such as Cow Patty Bingo or Dunkin' Dad and our 50-50 raffle. Our sale lot this year, the Eddie Wood sale, our board has been hard at work advertising our opportunity to be included in the Eddie Woods Cowtown Classic sale this year. We are lot number 1 with a coming 2-year-old female out of the heart of our president's herd. With world grand champions on both sides, this female has an incredible pedigree. The TLBT can't wait to see everyone at the sale and tell you more about her. Special thanks to Josh Gentry for allowing us the ability to participate. All of her proceeds will go directly towards funding the TLBT 2025 Junior National Show and Awards. Our service project goals to help make this the best year yet for the youth of the Texas Longhorn Crew. Thank you.
We will now have our treasurer, Jalen Crimmel, come up and present our policy, procedures, and prizes.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jalen Colonel, and I'm this year's DOBT Treasurer and the lead for the Policies, Prizes, and Procedures Committee, which consists of myself and 4 other youth. Our committee has implemented several positive changes to our yearly elections to streamline the process, making decisions for camp and amending a 3-strike rule to help with officer policies, and hopefully, and with officers and members of the TLBT. Being careful to stay within the budget and select youth prizes for the Texas Longhorn Junior Nationals. Moving forward through the remainder of the show season, I believe that with continued support of my fellow board and officer members, and we will continue to implement positive changes to ensure the success of the youth in the Texas Longhorn Breeders for tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay, we will now have our communications report, which I will be presenting. We would appreciate it if all of you would follow us on all of our social media. We have been working actively to be more informative on all platforms, so we would love to have all of you just know what's going on and just stay informed. And communications dedicates time each month working with Taylor and Myra to execute our portion of the Trails magazine. We are almost directly in the middle of it. We have multiple interviews, and of course, my president's message every month, so we'd love to just have you look over that and stay informed on also what we're doing on the trails. Our TLBT meeting for Fort Worth this year will take place in the French Room in the Watt Arena on Saturday the 18th at 4 o'clock tomorrow. We really appreciate the time to offer our report, and if you have any additional questions, any of our board would love to talk to you. And we can't wait to see you at the sale tomorrow. Please come talk to any of us if you have any questions about our sale lot. Thank you.
Is there anyone present from the Hall of Fame Committee or the Breed Standard Committee who would like to do a report?
I've got, just a brief update. So Breed Standard Committee still needs 2 members from Region C.
Do you mind coming up to the microphone so they can hear you on the video?
Sure.
Good afternoon. So Breed Standards Committee has met a couple times over the last 12 months via email. We are still needing 2 members from Region C. We've put it out several times and just haven't gotten any interest or response back. So any of y'all Region C members, if you want to nominate your friends, families, or neighbors, we would love to have you on our committee. We did submit a new breed standard and it was approved by the board of directors. It is available on the TLBAA website. Our current project is an expanded educational product going over, instead of just having a verbal, hey, this is what we're looking for, having some descriptions, some pictures, some diagrams, that kind of thing. I have a draft copy available here. It's not finished, but if anybody would like to look at it just to see what we've been working on, I'm happy to show it to you. But other than that, that's what we're working on, and we would love to have some more help and assistance. Thanks.
Wayne Manning was going to give us our update from the foundation.
Good afternoon. I've been a board member about 6 months, Lorinda Valentine asked me to join the foundation to help spearhead getting the Texas Longhorn Museum built. That land was donated 40 years ago, and it's time to make some headway on that. She figured I could help. Tony Mangold is the president. I'm the vice president. Lacey Murphy is the secretary. Russell Hooks, treasurer. Board members Tom Buxton, Jennifer Wyckoff, advisory member Lorinda Valentine, and L.D. McIntyre. I've been trying to get up to speed on the issues and roadblocks that the past members have been facing. We're slowly making progress with the Stockyards Association and the Fort Worth City Council. There's some genuine excitement from them about our proposed building. This project is going to be the gateway to the Stockyards. The Stockyards is beginning a $1 billion development. If our museum and what we're proposing is the gateway, can you imagine the excitement that they have for us and I have for the project? I'm excited about the future. There's limited things we can discuss at this time with some NDA signed, but I'm hoping to have some more updates soon, and stay tuned. This is going to become a reality.
Thank you, Wayne. Report on the election of directors. Honestly, we probably should have done this early in the meeting, but y'all have a rookie chairman, so here it is, way down at the end. Division A, regions 1 and 2, we've now got Matt Urban. Regions 3 and 4, Mark Hubble. And 5 and 6 remain Tom Ryder. So, welcome to those of you who are new, and Tom, thanks for coming back. The election of officers are executive committee. It's comprised of myself, Keith Hagler as the vice chair, Amanda Danley as the secretary, Elizabeth Fritz as the treasurer, Tom Ryder as the parliamentarian. We've got some excitement about what we got going this year. Most of you probably, between Facebook and everywhere else, have seen the changes we've made to the Eddie Wood sale to this weekend in general. Lots of excitement, lots of interesting conversation on Facebook. Whether good or bad, I guess any promotion is good promotion, right? We took sponsors this year for the Eddie Wood sale, which we've never done before. And with that money, we told our sponsors that we were going to advertise from outside of our industry. I personally feel like where we missed the boat the most in this industry is we spend a ton of money advertising to each other, and we don't spend near enough advertising to grow our membership and get outside people involved. I can tell you during this meeting, I've literally had 3 phone calls missed and text messages from people I have no clue who they are, asking if I come buy cows tomorrow, what's the procedure? How do I get there? Can you call me and explain this to me? So our advertising is working. We spent a good chunk of change with an advertising agency that Austin Aurora referred me to, and we're doing some targeted marketing. If you listen to the Hired Hand podcast, to me it's all kind of creepy, where they're listening to your phone or your phone's listening to you, and when you start talking about stuff and you're walking around the stockyards, you're getting TLBAA ads or Eddie Wood ads, and that all scares the crap out of me, but it's working. Apparently it's working. All of our advertising will not be to get people to the Eddie Wood sale. Honestly, I'm impressed that I've had 3 phone calls. We expected this to be more of a marathon than a race. So we're trying to grow using these advertising dollars. We're trying to grow the industry as as a whole, not advertising this sale or just the TLBA, but Longhorns in general. We've also taken, as many of you have seen on Facebook now, we did a large donation to the Fort Worth herd, because that's probably the most prominent, well-known herd of Longhorns outside of the industry. So we partnered with them. We've got signage up in the stockyards now, the observation deck. When you go in, there's a neat TLBA logo right above the observation deck. It's got some advertising for us. We're working on some additional signage. There's some neat things coming with outside advertising. We've still got some money left where we're gonna explore some other outside opportunities. You know, we didn't have to spend it all in a month, so we're trying to see what works, what doesn't work, without just throwing a giant chunk of change away and hoping that it sticks to something. So that's exciting to me. That's something that's kind of near and dear to me, is growing membership. I think, you know, we, as Elizabeth presented, the need for more money and more things to keep our association growing and thriving. New members would benefit every one of us in here, whether we're selling cows, whether they're paying dues and helping to float the association so we can continue to do things. Like I said, the sales and events is a big source of our income. So thank you to everybody who's been sponsoring and coming to those events, because obviously if y'all aren't showing up, then we're not making those things happen. So personally, we'd like to see some more member interaction. I know, you know, a lot of the voting stuff, we get minimal votes coming in, whether it's director votes or it's the special awards. Be nice to see a way to improve member interaction. Personally, would like to float the idea, and we'll have a discussion here momentarily about some other things, but I personally like to float the idea of digitally voting, as opposed to having to vote on paper, mail it in. You know, we hire a CPA firm to send you a ballot, then we expect that you're gonna fill it out, put a stamp on it, and send it back. That's a antiquated way of doing this, in my opinion, but I know there's some that are gonna go, heck no, I don't wanna do that. And there's some that are like, yes, you would get my vote if I could do it at 2 o'clock in the morning when I was laying in bed and not sleeping, where, you know, I travel for a living, so I gotta make it home to get my ballot and fill it out and send it in and get it postmarked. But those are just a couple of things that I would like to explore anyway, and if we can get some things figured out, maybe we can coordinate an additional membership meeting at the World Show this year. So, obviously, as our goals last year were to try to get a CEO in place, and I think everybody in this room understands that having someone to steer the ship that's full-time, that has a reason to be there, would really benefit us all. However, we do have to be able to afford to pay that person, so we're working on that part. But ultimately, I mean, we all do this for fun. I mean, I know some of us do it for money, but there's few and far between in this room that are doing this and making money. But this is supposed to be fun. This was supposed, you know, we got into this for fun, for, you know, hobbies, for. I'm an idiot. I said this was my retirement plan, and I think I'm got less money in the bank now than I had when we started. So see how well that's going for me. But ultimately, I mean, as an association, I would like to see us all having fun and being able to enjoy the events and not be just a stick in the mud. So hopefully, you know, moving forward, we're gonna do some fun things and be able to get a little bit better member interaction. We don't really have any unfinished business. I know of, unless somebody out there thinks we've got some unfinished business. So, we've got 2 proposals that went out in the trails in December. And, was it November? They've got a September date on them, I mean, a November date. No, it's got a September date. Anyway, we have 2 proposals that went out in the trails at least 60 days ago. So, both of these proposals revolve around DNA. So there's a lot of interesting dialect online that revolves around DNA, whether it's about I bought a cow and it wasn't what it's supposed to be, or I got an embryo that wasn't what it's supposed to be. So we had 2 proposals sent in. The first one is for AI certification. So the AI hardships have taken up a considerable amount of time for the board and office over the past years. The purpose of AI certification was to protect the buyers of semen and the integrity of the registry. The policy that all AI sires must be certified with parent verification and health tests has been in place for years. Hardships undermine the TLBA AI certification goal of ensuring our members that the semen they are purchasing for use in their herds is indeed what the papers claim it is. Hardships are also unfair to our members who have taken the time to follow the policy and complete all the required steps. The proposal reads, there will be no DNA certification hardships for any bulls born after January 1st, 2026. All bulls born after January 1st, 2026 will have to complete all requirements for DNA parent verification and health tests before they would be issued an AI certification number. This proposal will give the membership time to make sure they collect DNA samples on parents before the calves are born. The TLBA office will publish a new policy in the Trails magazine. All forms and the TLBA handbook will be updated with the new policy clearly stated. There would be no extra cost or hardship to the TLBA to implement this change. This proposal is another step to ensure we protect the integrity of the registry for future generations. So these were, that was presented as required. And we've got one other one. I guess we can talk about the first one before we roll on to the second one. I don't know if anybody in this room has anything they want to add or take away from that before we go into if we want to vote on this today. Anybody else? Hey, Brian, come on up.
Well,
Come up to the microphone so they can hear you on the thing, please. Well, we're recording and we need to be able to hear it there.
All right, I'm Kevin Bryant. This is a very good rule that needs to happen. The only thing I would like to add to this is before you get this done, before you register a calf as AI, it's got to verify that it's out of one of them AI sires. Because these cows are carrying longer or shorter. I've got one that's due, I mean, you can tell she's due, she didn't see a bull. But before I register that calf that's fixing to come, she will be DNA, that calf will be DNA, hope it's a she. That calf will be DNA to verify that sire before one of the problems I've run into in my own deal, I've registered a calf thinking, hey, this is the right time. And that cow carried 18 days longer, and I was wrong. If we're going, this is one of those deals, the hardship needs to go away, especially if we're backing it up to 2026, because them calves still got mamas and daddies still out there. DNA, you can register, if you AI an old bull like Emperor, or any of them other bulls that never did, you can send straw semen in, and that'll get that next calf. You'll burn a straw, but that'll get that next calf in line. So I think this is a very good rule on this particular deal. The only thing I would like to add to it is that a calf born through AI has to be verified before they get registered.
Thank you, Kevin. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Come on up. You told me you were gonna be nice to me during this meeting. Okay. Just read, yeah, just talking to the thing.
Josh.
Hi, Cindy.
Hey. I think mostly my question is, what do you do? I had a nice conversation today with Julie Pack. We talked about semen from bulls that have been dead a very long time. So what do we, I don't know if Kevin just answered my question, but what do we do with those? If you say all calves born now in 2026, well, some of those are from those bulls and cows years ago, and this question is also for those in the next one, the donor cows. How do you gonna go about that? You can't say all or none, considering that some of those are grandfathered in.
It's gonna be like embryos created 20 years ago?
Yes.
That's why we're having this discussion.
What Ryan just said, it's for the embryos that was created 20 years ago. And also semen, I don't know, there probably are some people, probably not so much anymore as it was when we first got into it. There were bulls who were collected and they hadn't been AI certified yet. But they still could be, you can still use the semen by today's standards in the bucking handbook.
Anybody? Answer?
I don't have an answer. That's the reason for this, I guess, this discussion during this meeting is so we can, I guess, figure out if this proposal is something that the board is gonna vote on in our next meeting. So with these comments and concerns, we can go back to this proposal and either add or take away from it before we make a vote.
Add language?
Yes, ma'am.
So my suggestion, because of what we talked about, I know there's people out there that have, maybe not older embryos than I have in the tank, but there's people that collected embryos on cows 3, 4, 5 years ago, and the calves, the embryos are in the tank, and the cow is now deceased, right? So if you put that even 2-year-old embryo in the tank, and the cow's already deceased, and she has the next greatest herd sire hit the ground, and you can't pull DNA on her, you would have if it's so. For me, the easy way to fix that solution is just to say born or frozen before. But, and that covers anybody that's already got embryos in the tank on a high dollar cow that passed away before you could get DNA drawn on her. And that would quote unquote grandfather any of these animals that have already been created. Back to the dam proposal. I know for some of y'all it may not seem like it, but I've been around this a long time. And I sort of vaguely remember from my years in the TLBT that once upon a time you did have to send in DNA on donor cows. And to my understanding, those of y'all that have been in this longer than me, correct me if I'm wrong, some of that DNA should theoretically still be stored at UC Davis. I know some of the AI sires have DNA pulled, and again, it's stored at UC Davis. So those of y'all that remember my Longhorn showcase calf, he is a measles super ranger son. He was conceived in 1994. He was born in 2022. I pulled his DNA, I sent it in to Identity, I paid for the whole gene seek and beef and all that stuff. And when I saw his stuff come in, he's not parentage verified, even though I know there's DNA on measles super ranger out there somewhere. So my question is on some of this older stuff, is there any way to get the database that's cross-referenced wherever all that old DNA information is stored, somehow imported into the database that we have in Orange right now. The second caveat to that is I know, the people at Identity told me I didn't have to send them an entire straw of semen. They can do a used straw of semen. So if you want to use one of these old bulls, you don't want to sacrifice an entire straw. I don't know how many, I don't know if they can just, if it has to be 2 used straws, 1 used straw, 10 used straws, I don't know. But they have told me they can pull semen off of a used straw, so you don't necessarily have to sacrifice. I'll tell you this, I've got a batch fixing to send in. For those of y'all that might be interested in this, this does somewhat pose a little bit of a different question. I have a whole bunch of semen on Measles Super Ranger. I want to get this little dude parentage verified as far as I can. I'm fixing to send in a straw of Measles Super Ranger and get his DNA pulled. I don't own him. Right? He's been dead for, God, how many years now? So my question on some of that is, all this semen that's out there, right? Like, I own the semen, it belongs to me. That genetic material belongs to me. But this now brings up the question of, once we start doing some of this DNA stuff, when people start sending in DNA on animals that they don't own, and they come back and they don't parentage verify, have we thought about that? Just throw that out there, so you thought.
Josh, just one comment. When we
When we changed the DNA testing facility from U.S. Davis to Ingenity, all files that were at UC Davis were transferred to Ingenity. So if there's, Ingenity doesn't have it, that means UC Davis didn't have it unless they didn't transfer all and didn't tell us. We sure paid them a lot of money to do it, that's all I can tell you. So in our movement from UC Davis to, not US Davis, but UC Davis to Ingenity, Nugent, we paid to have all files of all DNA tests that were done at UC Davis transferred to Nugent Identity.
You wandering back up, Kevin? Come on up, buddy.
I can answer a couple of those questions. One of the things that you're going to run into is an STR and an SMP. And Julie's shaking her head, but she didn't explain this. They're 2 different tests, so they don't cross-reference. Now, if Super Ranger had SDR done, you could take your bull and do an SDR on him and cross-reference with that. So whenever you get into this deal, you know, that's probably one of the hardest things is somebody asks. Jody practiced with me on down here, so I would ask the right questions, you know, or answer the right questions. They're 2 different tests, so they fall in 2 different categories. So some of these cattle are new cattle, and I'll be honest, I sent in 12 or 15 bulls that I didn't own for snips because I knew they were tested before as an SDR. So I turned them in, and then I take it in. What you can do is I turn them into TLPA so that they can also be cross-referenced on the SNP and SDR. And I've had several phone calls that say, hey, can I have permission? Yes, you can. I think it's very important to share that information. I don't know that I've ever had one come back that was wrong, that was certified, but I know that I've helped a lot of people out because I did the SNPs on them, and that they're the SMP test, and that helped a lot of people get away. And we're talking about like Jamaica's, I'm talking cowboy shacks, slide slick, I mean, you know, some old stuff, but it really helped. So keep in mind, when you're trying to ask these questions, you're asking two different, what it takes. So it may be that you have to test your animal in SDR and SMP, not just figure out, well, it didn't match, I gotta burn a straw. You know, and the other thing is, they don't care if it's hot, they'll test it, you know.
Kevin, just sit right there, you know you're gonna be back up here.
I've just got one kind of broad comment to make, is that we just heard a bunch of committee reports, and as important and polarizing as DNA as a broad topic is, I do think it's fair to the association and the group as a whole that a DNA committee be formed for a lot of this to filter through. Just to keep everything more uniform, have a direct voice, have a way to review what's going on. And a perfect example is the last time that parent verification was approved by the board, it was immediately voted against by the membership. At that point, a committee was put together to provide analysis and options back to the board on how to move forward. So I think that there would be multiple opportunities for a committee to be helpful. One, would be a point of contact. Two, it would be a way to provide information in a readable manner to the association. Just to come about the SNP versus STR. That gets pretty complicated pretty fast for the average breeder that's not looking at it every day. And so just things like that, providing information and education, as well as a filter. That way it's not placed independently to the full board. I think is the prudent thing, and we just heard what 7, 8 different committees. I know getting those committees filled is hard, but I think this one, as polarizing as it is and important as it is, it's the right thing to do. So that's my comment.
Ryan, can I get you to repeat something for me also?
Yes.
Instead of all just walking up there.
On behalf of Russell Fairchild.
One of the things when I started on the board that we dealt with is that Kevin was nice enough to be able to say, yes, you can use my results that I got in on an animal. But we have had situations where people needed to get approval from a breeder or an owner of a cattle because they didn't like them, they had bad feelings or something like that, they wouldn't give it. And in a situation like this committee that you're talking about needs to discuss things like that. And we need to have where if it's presented or it's tested, it can be shared to the whole association to be able to use. And that's things that I don't know that this board has discussed that I think needs to be discussed further before any vote takes place.
The paraphrasing Russell, it was sometimes the permissions for different animals are granted or not granted based on personal preferences or biases. So that is something that could be sent in front of the committee if it hadn't been in front of the board. That cover it?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
One of the things you may or may not know is when you send a test in, if you send it through our DNA Services Department, which is a contract department, all of the tests that Nugent, Identity, even UC Davis did, is proprietary to the person that sent it in. If it was us, the association, you're working through us, getting the forms, and we're helping you get it in, then you own it, and we kind of own the information so we can put it into the point system. If you send it in direct, it's proprietary to you, and I can't get it unless it's, as Kevin was saying, people call him all the time, will you release the data? So, Russell, while I understand what you're saying, I'm not sure that's our decision, because we can't get it unless the person that sent in the test releases it to us, which is another total step. Now, if we can get everybody to agree, I guess, to sign a form and send it in to Nugent or Identity, that would work. But we can't get it unless the person that sends it in, unless they send it through us, we can't get the information that's proprietary to you.
And that's exactly why we need a committee to thought out these things that would cause issues like that before we just go and take a vote without following all.
Yeah, I'm not against the committee, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that. And And one of the things that's happening today is I get calls all the time from people who say, I can't get my DNA because they say it belongs to you, TLBAA. I'm going, no, it doesn't belong to me or TLBAA, it belongs to you. But Nugent won't give it out to you because you send it through us. All you gotta do is ask us and it's done. I mean, it's not, we don't own it. So if people tell you, oh, I'm not gonna go through DNA services because they own it and won't give it to you, that's not true. That's just Nugent's way of protecting your privacy and the results. So, but if you ever run into that, give me a call. I'll take care of it for you. The other thing, and this is like almost a 101 DNA course, Kevin mentioned the SPR and the S&P. Does everybody know what that is? Let me explain it to you real simple. The SPR test started back probably in the 60s or 50s. It only has, or even lower maybe. Okay, it was the first DNA test. I don't know. But in your mind, compare it with an old 8-track player music to today's new digital music, which is, that we have today. STRs pull only approximately 14 to 30 markers. And S&P, or SNP as we all call it, S&P, pulls hundreds. And of course the GGP 100K pulls 100,000s, so you can do EPDs and stuff like that, for those of you who knows what that is. So an S&P will not compare, as Kevin said, to an SDR. There's not enough. Go back one step with me here that DNA is not 100%. There's nothing 100% in anything. You watch too much CIS or NCI or whatever it is. They're gonna, a guy will walk past the door, they're gonna pull DNA off of it and get it tomorrow. That doesn't happen, that's not true. DNA is the probability of positive, which means if there's enough numbers there that shows it's overwhelming that it is, in fact, let's say desire, it's not 100%, you can't get 100%. But if it's up there enough to know, they will make a decision that it's probable, that it is, the percentages are probable for this to be the successful parent, son or dam or whatever. So keep that in mind whenever you're dealing with any kind of DNA. It's not 100%, it'll never be 100%, but it is the highest probability of success that you can get. So, and again, S&P will not compare to the SDR. That's the reason if you have a whole mole, that's SDR, the only way you're going to get a comparison, but remember now, it's only pulling 20, 30, 40, maybe markers. In today's mentality, that's not enough to give you a comfortable feeling that they're successful. But that's all we had for many years until we got out of UC Davis, because I think UC Davis still only does the SDRs. They don't do anything else. But we wanted to move forward into the future so that you might, in the future, especially with the beef, could pull some EPDs. And the only way to do that is going to have to do the 100 GGP and 100Ks and so forth. It's going to pull thousands of markers for you to compare. So it gets, DNA is fairly complicated, it can get complicated, but maybe a committee, as Russell has proposed, and even Ryan alluded to, is the way to move forward. And maybe we can overcome some of the obstacles that we have today. But any questions you have on DNA, please give me a call.
You gotta come up here.
Where we at?
I was hoping that was gonna be enough to make you say you didn't want to do it, but.
I'm too much of a pain. So, please talk about Rick this time.
Okay. Rick and Russell kind of talking about the same kind of thing. So, if I don't like Jamie and she wants some DNA, or she wants a DNA report on an animal that I own, and I'm like, no. But I run it through you and you release it to Jamie, unless there's some sort of legal document, I'm gonna sue the TLBA. Just on principle, because I'm an nasty person. I mean, I'm just saying, there are vindictive people in this world. And so I hope that there's some sort of form that the TLBA has to protect themselves from that kind of thing.
No release form.
Yeah, something, some sort of legal document, because, some very wealthy person that's vindictive, it's gonna happen. It
may not happen today, it may not happen next year, but it will happen. So, just throwing that out there.
Markers are already there, but
Yeah.
it's already there, all we're saying is, yes, Kevin gave me permission to contact. Yeah. And once that, if they go through.
Hey, I was on my way to that microphone.
Let's find out.
I just want to second, I think Ryan made a proposal for you. I would second that at committee before him, but in my opinion, we've dealt with this issue for since I've been reading, really. I watched 1995 or 98, I don't remember which. The AQHA implemented their DNA policy, and I think 98 by 2000 at least, it was fully implemented. The value of their breed went nothing but up. So whichever way we go, we've got a committee sitting here to raise a bunch of money for a sale, outside promotion. The goal is growth, DNA is growth. I'm here to second Ryan's proposal. We form a committee and do it right. We don't do it fast, we do it right, but there's a lot of opinions that obviously the general membership voted down before, and I can see the point of that, but if we form a committee, go slow and right, I think it's time for the membership to want to move forward with something as simple as outside advertisement. That to me signifies the general membership says we want to move forward with progressing value.
This is gonna address her. I was wanting Rick up here because I think we agree. It depends on how you send the DNA in, and Rick's gonna correct me if I'm wrong. If you send in, if you contact Rick and ask for a work order from Rick, and you send the DNA to Neogen, you own the DNA, but the TLPA has it's in the registry. If you go through TLPA, that markers are in the registry at DNA Services.
I understand, I'm not an attorney, I just slept at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but, I paid for that report.
I agree.
Now, if the TLBA gives $1 towards that report, then they can do whatever they want with it. But if I paid for the full report, I own that information. But some sort of simple click here on the brand new app that we're gonna have that says that the TLBA can hold on and pass that information along to other people, that's all you need. But it's, like I said, it may not even happen for 10 years, but there's gonna be some person who absolutely hates another person, and you give that person their information, and they are gonna use that as an opportunity to screw that person. They just are, and the association. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, I hear you, I really do. And understanding this litigious society that we live in, you can get sued just by walking down the street, almost kind of thing. We don't give out information to people who are not the owner, okay? Our job at DNA Services, which is a contract company, it's not in my office, it's a contract company, their job is to assist you filling out your paperwork, being a midway person right in the middle between you and Nugent, the test facility if you need it, and to generate the paperwork that's going to take you to get your DNA done on your animal. Once that test is done, as you know, we email you the results of that test, and then we enter into the horn system. That's all we do. We don't get, if someone requested, it has to go through kind of a request system of, you don't own it, you can't get it. Nugent's going to tell you, you can't have it unless you get permission from TLBA. Simple as that. And we contact the owner for that before we do it. But you're correct, to have some sort of anti-suit, something in place is absolutely appropriate in this day and time.
Joe's late to the game, but he's gonna come comment anyway, come on.
guess I got probably what's gonna sound like a stupid question here, but, I'm Joe Solacek, 28 years in the breed. I guess from too many years of watching, the Jerry Springer show, I guess my question about DNA is, when there's two full siblings, can you actually tell apart two full siblings? And this is a huge thing when you look at two full siblings, like guy would tuck checks, guy would catch the checks. How, everything I've heard, you can't actually differentiate between two full brothers. So how accurate, is that true? And if it's true, how accurate is our test? We look at our breed, how intertwined we are. I mean, most of us, we call an outcross now when it's only 2 shots of cowboy tough instead of 3. So I guess that's just something that I think that we need to look at too before we really start stamping. Like Rick said, DNA is not 100%. So before we start stamping that stamp on our papers that it's DNA verified, let's make sure that that can actually be proven.
Hey, Ken, how does that can be proven? Just,
I'm 99%, I'm not DNA 100%, but I think you can. But it goes back to your SNP test, because on SNP verification, there are 128 markers. On SDR test, you're 15 markers. And it's kind of like the twins, the movie, The Twins. You got Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you got the little, they're supposed to be full brothers, but I think you can. But it's something that if we form a committee, and I think I'm with these guys, I'm with it, form a committee. These are questions that needs to be sent to make sure. But I know that when you go to that SNP test, you're talking about 128 characters instead of 15. And I know that I've seen in Catch It and Cowboy Tough, sons and daughters, and they verified them different.
Also, let's talk about betting, so he owes all money.
Alright, so we're gonna, obviously, if we were gonna vote on the proposal, it would have to be as written, so I venture to say, as a board, I might need a motion here to table this and get the terminology right.
I make a motion to table this to the next board meeting.
So I've got a motion from Dave Berry, a second from Keith Hagler.
I don't really know if we need to do that. It just said.
It's in discussion. I just make sure we're covering procedurally so nobody
The
goes.
purpose needs to be redone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the second part of this,
Was the motion made? Sorry.
there was a discussion up here as to if there even needed to be a motion, because the proposal just says we were going to discuss it today. So I guess there was kind of a side discussion about did we need a motion or not, and I'm new to this, so I don't have a clue, so. The second part of this was for a donor cow DNA proposal. Submitting this proposal to require all donor cows for embryos collected after June 30th of 2025 to have DNA on file with TLBA before embryo calves can be registered. Purpose and mission of TLBA is to record and ensure an accurate registry in order to protect the integrity of the breed. AI sires already have DNA on file for the purpose of protecting the buyers of the semen. Requiring the donor cow to have DNA on file would make it easier to ensure embryo calves' pedigrees are accurate without the purchaser being at the mercy of the owner of the donor cow. The proposal is that all donor cows of embryos collected after June 30th, 2025 must have DNA on file with TLBA before those embryo calves from that cow can be registered. The office will publish the new policy in the Trails magazine. All forms and the TLBA handbook will be updated with the new policy clearly stated. Some of the same arguments can be made about this, okay, well, what if it's a 5-year-old embryo and the mother's dead, I don't have a way to do this. So we don't need to revisit the same arguments. If anybody has anything new or in addition to what we've already talked about.
It said it only applies to cows collected after June of this year, so it's.
Okay, yeah, so it's not born after, sorry, it's collected after. So, anybody will open the floor if anybody wants to throw. Four. Okay, sorry,
I didn't make a motion, I just brought the idea.
Okay, yeah, so no, we don't have a motion, Terry.
Make a motion to form a committee for DNA committee. Can I make that motion now?
Can we finish this thing that I started and then go back to that? Is that? Alright. So for the donor cow DNA proposal, does anybody have anything different or new and exciting to add? Kevin, I'm sure you got something to say. Come on up.
No, I'm good.
You're good.
I think it needs to happen, I think the word is right, because it's, collected after, that's the word.
Now, on this, I'm good, and it's basically, it answers Julie Pack's question a while ago, because it doesn't say born, it says the embryo has to be collected after. So, if it's collected after, that cow's still alive. That cow's gonna be alive, the bull's gonna have certified DNA, there you go. The only problem that I see on that is, if you're going to, use an old straw semen on that cow, or for that embryo, like an emperor or something, or anything that hasn't been collected, make sure you got a straw or keep a little bit in the straw to send to the engine, because that'll certify that bull at that time. That's the only thing I see, and I think it's pretty easy to deflect that. Just put it down to where it actually states that. But other than that, that would give you where you could use an old bull that's already been certified. If you want to burn a straw, you can burn a straw. You could leave it. If you're doing a flush, you could use part of that straw. Don't use it all. Send that in to get your DNA for the calf. And really, it's a good deal. I think it'll work.
John, I did stay on holiday last night, but I'm not an attorney. I think if we do this before we vote on anything, we put somewhere in the application or the filing of this, that once this DNA is filed, it now becomes the property of the TLBA. So that way, your question where you're saying, hey, someone comes back and says, that's my sense, I own it. Since we are the warehouse and the depository of this information, it's owned by the TLBA. That way, down the road, another breeder can access that information. So I don't suggest we pass anything today. The part of the DNA committee can also work that in there, or we can have a lawyer give us that clause on that, so that covers everybody involved.
Okay, so does anybody else have anything on this donor cow situation? Going once, going twice? Alright. So if you do come up with something that you feel strongly about on that issue, I would urge you to contact your board member for your region. If you don't know who that is, when you log in to Longhorn, it's going to tell you what region you're in at least. So going back to the committee that Cindy was saying she was giving a motion for, I'll be the first person in this room to say I'm probably the worst person at knowing and following rules. So I don't believe that we need a motion or anything to create a committee. If y'all want to create a committee for DNA, I don't think we have to vote on that. I think that's something we could just say, hey, we're going to create a DNA committee if that's the direction the membership wants to go. So at that point, we can, what I'm being told, and once again, I'm not the rules expert here, and I didn't stay at Holiday Inn even last night, so these guys got a lot on me. But what I'm being told is the board we can create a DNA committee, and we can push forward with that and have that committee report back and see where this thing goes. It's not guaranteeing that anything passes, but at least we would have knowledgeable people in a place and a way for this to start moving in what I would call the right direction. And I think Kevin Bryant's texting me right now saying he would chair that committee.
Gotta ask for permission, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was from Jody, not from you. I apologize. But no, we can definitely, as a board, create a DNA committee and get this stuff out there, try to move this. I mean, like Josh Dinwiddie said, this, in my opinion, and in his opinion, this only elevates the value of our cattle. I'm so tired of opening Facebook and seeing, oh, I bought this and that's not what it is. Like, this is the way to fix that. So we'll get that committee created and Kevin on it, and that'll be one. You're in C, right? C's the one that's always got the opening. So perfect.
One thing about it doesn't have to be absolute. The problem with DNA.
The problem with DNA that scares everybody is that we think we're going to go in and just hammer this out and force everybody to do everything at once. I think it's best to do it in steps. You know, the bulls, definitely. The calves, then your cows are going to work themselves out. And I don't believe that we need DNA every calf, because not every calf's going to make it. One of the things that what's the other? You got Neogen, you got another DNA guy. He's telling me, the Zoetis guys, they say, hey, here's what I would suggest. Pull blood, put blood samples in your cabinet and on these cards. Then if you got a bull that you don't think's really going to make it, and he hits 2, 3, whatever, and all of a sudden you go, hey, this guy's good enough, let's throw him on a couple of cows. That blood's going to stay in that cabinet forever. You got everything there. All you have to do is send that in at that time. You don't even have to, or if you process that bull, for example, and you get this calf, and it's like, holy smokes. You don't have to send it in. You can actually have it. It'll last forever in the cabinet. So there's more ways to do this than just force it down somebody's throat. It's do it in sections to where it actually makes sense.
Thank you, Kevin. I don't see it anymore. Come on up, Cindy.
Just quickly, I want to know, this isn't a DNA rule. This is something the committee can look over as far as like the AI certification and the hardshipping, so that it can be done. It can be implemented or voted on by y'all in a couple of months as opposed to another year.
Correct.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm talking about DNA for a few minutes. So, against my better judgment, I'd like to open the floor if anybody had any other business they wanted to bring up. If not, somebody wanted to give us a motion to dismiss, we can get the heck out of here. I need names. Wayne Manning got a motion to dismiss.
Second.
Austin Rohr, second. Thank you all.
Hello, about 5 o'clock social, 6 o'clock award.
Don't forget the 5 o'clock social and the 6 o'clock awards. In this room, right? Yes. Right here in this room.
Thank you.